I think it just harkens back to something I said earlier. You know, treat it with a lot of seriousness, you know, as much or more as you would an ordinary course. You know, attack it every week. You know, think about it when you're having a shower or whatever, and it really, that's the more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. And it's really unique, you know. I mean, once all said and done, whether you got a few extra percent in some midterm exam, I mean, it won't make much of a difference to you long term. But if you really get a good learning experience out of your thesis, I've seen that have a huge impact on people lifelong.
I think that, you know, with thesis, it's really, you get out of it what you put into it, and it's a real learning experience for students, and I highly recommend it. I think it's great. Students get to, you know, do research, be, you know, kind of learning what the cutting edge really is in different fields in the faculty, and I think that's exciting. So I think in terms of, you know, going and finding a thesis project, for example, you know, starting that initial step, students really should look back and see, you know, after 3 years, what are they really interested in, and what would they like to learn more about? You know, what areas did they maybe touch on, but they feel like they could learn more, and choose a thesis project in that area, and, you know, and work on it so that at the end they feel that they've actually, you know, contributed to an overall field, a very exciting field.
I can go back to something I said early on in this discussion, and that was that I think thesis is really important. And so approach it as enthusiastically as you can. This is the only major piece of work that you're going to be able to do in your bachelor's degree independently. So we've got all sorts of projects and design project and things like that, and the way it's evolved, they're all done in groups now. And being able to work in a group is important, but also being able to work as an individual, as one person, and to create something, or to find something out, to discover something, or to create something as an individual, it's going to give you an immense feeling of pleasure and satisfaction because you've done it by yourself. And so thesis is very, very good in that regard. The other thing, and it's almost a little bit sort of contradictory, you are there as an individual doing work on your own, and you're able to take all of the benefits that come out of that process. The other thing, though, is that you have that opportunity to work one-on-one with your supervisor. So engage with your supervisor as much as possible. Try to find... It's not so much about the topic. Some students, they just, you know, they want to talk with professor after professor. They say, well, I got to find the best topic. It's not so much about the topic. It's about the relationship that you have with that professor and what you can gain in terms of learning from that professor's perspective, their approach to solving problems, all of these other things that are not specifically related to the topic. So try to find a supervisor with whom there is good personal chemistry. I think that's important also.
One piece of advice is most important in my opinion. Stay on top of what you're doing. If you allow your other courses to get in the way of your thesis, you're going to get in trouble at the end of the term. There are some theses that are written in the last 3 weeks of the term. They're not very good. You need to keep up with the material throughout the entire term. Make sure you're on it. Make sure you have a plan and things are actually aiming forward to get everything done. And you don't need to tell engineering science students this, because if they don't know what time management is, they didn't finish first year. So as a result, you need to keep track of things. And that's also why I think that it's important that you choose a topic that you want to do. Because if you're choosing a topic, which is of no interest to you, then after a long day of taking your classes and your tutorials, and then going home for an hour on the train, and you get at home and it's now time to work on your thesis, but there's a TV show you'd rather watch on your computer, you're more likely to watch the TV show. But if you're interested in the topic, then you'll keep up with it, and you'll automatically keep up with it. And there's probably a third to a half the students that have worked with me, of the 50 students who worked with me over the last 10 years, they really want to do more on this thing. Actually, they're thrilled by it. and that's the best thing you can have happen to you. You want to make yourself in a situation where your thesis is thrilling to you.
I think the single biggest important advice is don't get behind. You know, try your best to accomplish regular progress on a regular schedule. I know that's very difficult given all the demands on your time, but you really do have to avoid getting behind, because it's not the sort of thing where, you know, in the last week of classes in April that you're able to make up for the fact you haven't done too much throughout the rest of the year. So that's something you want to avoid.
I guess in the process of finding a thesis, I would say be persistent. That is quite, you know, if you're going to send out emails to the groups you're really interested in, you probably won't get replies from everybody, but don't hesitate to follow up and say, you know, I'm still really interested in your research, Professor so-and-so, and you know, really try and find a project that you're really interested in, I think, and persist with it. You know, professors are busy people and often ignore emails, but you know, many of us will take thesis students, and sometimes it just takes knocking on the door or sending an email a couple extra times. And then when you get in the thesis, I think that point of getting a head start, or either getting a head start starting before the fall, or making sure you hit the ground running in the fall is very important, because you have a lot of things going on in final year. You've got all your courses, you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next, you're sending applications for jobs or for graduate school. There's a lot of things going on that can distract from thesis. But the added value from thesis is pretty high, and so you have to spend the time on that, and it's not something that you can rush at the end.
Thanks for watching. You might be interested in another video in this series, or you might want to watch the uncut full-length interviews with our instructors. To do this, select pause to stop the video, and then select on a button or an image.